with that down, let's move on to main topic number 2, shall we? And our second main topic gets brought to us by Bryce Dugun. You know, it's really funny. I grew up with a guy named Bryce Dugun. But anyway, Bryce Dugun writes in, "Good morning, John. If you remember, about a month or so ago, Ryan Reynolds, was that about Ryan Reynolds, announced that he was taking a bit of a sabbatical from acting while a whole bunch of people wondered if that meant Deadpool 3 was being sidelined or not. Anyway, I just read a quote from Reynolds saying that he's still actively working on the movie and it's all still moving forward. Should this make Deadpool fans relax a bit now?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, it was kind of funny because you guys remember what Bryce is talking about not long ago. And by the way, Casey Mack sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Casey. Appreciate that, man. You guys remember a little while ago, Ryan Reynolds announced to the world he was taking a bit of a sabbatical. He was taking a break from acting for a little bit. Now, when you look at his filmography, it's not surprising that he would do that because the guy's been working his ass off. This is a guy with a wife, with kids and children and a home, and he's often been away from home. The dude wanted to go home, spend some time with the family, take a little bit of a break. But a lot of people interpreted that as saying, oh, Deadpool 3 must be off the books now. I mean, what does this mean for Deadpool 3? And a lot of people who are fans of Deadpool started to panic and worried about it. And I started getting a lot of messages from people asking me, what do we know about Deadpool 3? Like, is it now officially off because he's taking this break? And it's like, well, wait a minute. We never should have thought that because he was only saying he's taking a little bit of a break from acting. And we know Deadpool 3 isn't yet at a place where it's ready to start shooting. So yes, Ryan Reynolds decided to address this just a little bit. This comes to us from the folks at Cinema Blend who wrote the following. At a promotional event for his film Red Notice, Ryan Reynolds provided an update on the long-awaited Deadpool 3. He couldn't reveal much, but progress is definitely being made. He told Variety, "We're plugging away at it. I can't really comment on that, but hopefully soon though." While that cryptic response must be frustrating for Deadpool fans, it's part and parcel of the Marvel creative process. The franchise is notoriously tight-lipped when it comes to production details and plot points, so Ryan Reynolds probably isn't allowed to give anything away except for a confirmation that the movie is indeed still happening, which is a relief in and of itself, considering all of the turbulence going on behind the scenes. And that again comes to us from the folks over at Cinema Blend. And by the way, Ms. Marvel sends in a super chat badge in live chat. Thank you, Ms. Marvel. Appreciate that. So look, I can tell you this. I did know, I can't say how, but I did know a few months ago that this period of time right now was a time that Ryan Reynolds had set aside to really hunker down and go to work on Deadpool 3. And so that's why when he announced his acting sabbatical, I mean, I knew, and I think probably a lot of you guys knew too, it was not something to panic about Deadpool. Now, so now we know Deadpool 3 is still moving ahead. He's working on it right now. His writers are working on it right now. Everything is moving forward. That gives us an opportunity though right now to raise a really interesting question. It's a question we haven't addressed in a while, one that we've talked about a lot in the past, but maybe it's time to revisit it. What is this iteration of Deadpool even going to be like? Now, for a long time, the conversation was, will Deadpool even be in the MCU, or will Kevin Feige have him outside of the MCU? Because, as Feige has said, this is going to be the only R-rated thing we do. This is going to be the only R-rated thing we do. And you remember, because he was talking about that when he was talking about Blade, that apparently Blade is going to be PG-13, which none of us should be surprised about. But Kevin Feige addressed the whole R-rated thing. So, you know, R-rated is not really for us. I think Deadpool's the one exception. So we know Deadpool's going to be rated R, which at this point it kind of has to be. Now, I would say this. If this was a brand new iteration of Deadpool, if Kevin Feige was not bringing over Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and they were just going to start Deadpool from scratch again, I wouldn't think that Deadpool had to be rated R. You can do him a little bit differently. It could work with him being PG-13. But this Deadpool, if you're going to do the Deadpool that Ryan Reynolds has already started, you can't get away from it. I mean, that's got to be rated R. Like, you can't have him talking about and celebrating Women's Day, which is still one of the most uncomfortable yet hilarious shots in the original Deadpool movie. But you cannot have Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool talking about celebrating International Women's Day the way, he and his girlfriend celebrated it, and then all of a sudden go to PG-13. You can't do it. If you were starting him fresh, you could. If you're carrying it on, you can't. It's got to be rated R. So that raised a lot of the question. Well, if Deadpool is going to be the only R-rated thing that they do, is it going to be in the MCU where they don't want any R-rated stuff? And I personally think they should have Deadpool outside of the MCU just to avoid that confusion. I often thought that Bob Iger, who is no longer CEO of Disney, now it's Bob Chapek, but I often thought that Bob Iger, were he still CEO, Bob Iger is ferocious about protecting his relationship with his customers, with the Disney fandom. And I think the last thing Bob Iger would want is to tell moms and parents, oh yeah, bring your kids to this MCU movie, and they see Deadpool running around in a PG-13 movie. And then confuse the issue by saying, now we've got another Marvel movie out with Deadpool. Remember Deadpool from that MCU movie? Now he's got a standalone film. Oh, but you can't bring your kids to this one. So I've often thought they should keep Deadpool out of the MCU, but I think as time goes on, it's become really, really clear he's going to be in the MCU. I haven't heard anybody really contest that anymore. Like, they're going to definitely bring him in the MCU. I think Kevin Feige, in talking about it, kind of made that clear. So number one, he's going to be rated R. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Number two, I think he is going to be in the MCU. How they're going to use them, don't know. Are they going to not have him cross over into other MCU films, and all of a sudden you got to beep out his words and you can't let him really be Deadpool? See, that's the one part where it's going to become a little bit awkward. Like, you do Deadpool 3, right? You do Deadpool 3. And you've got, all the jokes, and you got all the R-rated stuff, the hard R-rated stuff in Deadpool 3. Well, now do you bring him over as a guest star in Hawkeye? Like in Hawkeye season 2, where all of a sudden this Deadpool that just had his own movie, Deadpool 3, and it was all R-rated, now you bring him in and you can't let him be Deadpool anymore. He's got to be, maybe whenever he talks, you make a joke out of it, you put the censor beeping over when he talks. I mean, I don't know, maybe it'd be fun. Anyway, the question is for you guys. Ryan Reynolds has put everybody's fears to rest. He is still working on Deadpool 3. It is still coming. The question is, though, what do you think this Deadpool 3 is going to be? Do you think it will indeed be rated R, as we suspect? Do you think it'll be inside the main part of the MCU, outside? If it's in the main, how do you think they're going to deal with the R-rated nature of the character inside other characters' movies? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.